Well, thank you. Uh, in in recognition of the holidays, first, I wish everyone happy holidays over the next week, and I will keep this short. Um, um, just a few pieces of news from kind of the big to the mechanical. First, hopefully, folks noted that this Sunday we announced the naming of a new athletic director for UNM, Fernando Lovo, who is coming to us from University of Texas, Austin. Um, there's a certain charming inevitability to this. His paternal grandfather was named Lobo, Lobo, and someplace, no doubt, in one of those immigration things, it was changed to Lovo with a V. But clearly, he was meant to be here. Um, in talking to him, I can say that one of the things that's really great about Fernando is he has what he calls his calling, and his calling is about developing student athletes. And he leads every conversation, every answer with his calling. He leads by talking about the student and the student athlete. Really looking forward to having him with us. He's got a particularly strong background in football, having worked for both college football teams and professional football teams. That may be, yeah, for those who follow kind of the where college sports is going, football is incredibly important in terms of the revenue that athletics generates to support itself, and the ball piece is really important. In any event, Fernando will start with us December 1st, so basically this Sunday, I know we look forward to having him on campus. We're also heading into legislative season with the 60 legislative session starting next January. As usual, there's a one day near the start of the legislative session that's designated UNM Day, and that'll be the 29th of January. And so we'll have a lot of folks up there doing tabling, doing displays, meeting legislators. So a lot of new folks in the legislature this year as well. Lots of new relationships to build as we talk about UNM's priorities. So stay tuned on that. Garnet talked about this last time, but you'll hear more about our continuing priorities with the legislature as we get into the session. It's also registration time, and so students are registering. We're mostly through that, but we have something over around 1,500 students who are not registered yet, who we're working on to get registered. About half of those are students who owe small amounts to the university. And if they owe less than $200, we ask today that those students, that their registration holds be removed so that those students who just owe us small amounts can go ahead and register. Students who owe us more than 200, and it's kind of from 200 to several thousand. After break, we start to work with schools and colleges to deploy scholarship funds to try and pay down those balances so that we can get those students registered as well. There's about 500 or so in that category. And then there's 100 or 200 or so who've got advising holds, and the advising center is reaching out to those folks to address whatever issue needs to be addressed so we can get those holds removed. This is the kind of drill we go through every year at this time. That is to see how many students can't register for various reasons, and then see what we can do to get them to register. And so that work is ongoing. I want to say just a little bit about books. There was a question last month about the move out of the humanities building and into various temporary spaces around campus. Turns out there are about 90,000 books in the humanities building. Who knew? Folks are working on, there's not going to be one solution to how to find nice homes for all of those books for the next few years. but folks are working on a multitude of solutions. There is some faculty have already discovered that they have sufficient space in their new temporary offices to move those books. Others can move some, or taking some home. In Parish Library, we're setting up some locked shelves that folks can use. The basic strategy at this point, because every case is different, is going to be to go through the move process. And then at the end of that process, assess which books couldn't be moved and figure out how many that is, and figure out what then the options are to find those books nice temporary homes. We had looked at putting them into the remote storage facility of the library, and they don't think that they have enough capacity to add those. Sever's nodding his head. And so we know it won't be there for any books that don't find another home. So all that to say that there's a team of folks who are working on the move who have the books well in mind. Turns out art is another big one. So finding what to do with the public art is another piece that folks are working on. And then final piece of info from me. This is also the time of the year in which we start to seriously look at building the next year's budget, the budget for fiscal year 26. In outside of health sciences, we go through what we call the multi-year planning process, where we ask units to tell us what they're trying to do over the next few years, describe what resources are needed to accomplish those plans, how many faculty lines, how much operating funds, staff lines, whatever it may be. So far in academic affairs, we've gotten about $17.5 million of requests that we will sort through. Several million of those are for faculty lines, several million for staff lines, several million for various kinds of salary adjustments. So it just gives you a sense of the magnitude of the ask and the needs that units are seeing. We really don't have a good sense yet of what either the legislature will do in terms of formula funding or in terms of compensation increases, which they partially fund, nor do we have a good sense of where the regents will go with respect to tuition, although certainly the regents, I think their default position is to not raise tuition rates, but that's not written in stone, and so it's something we have to think through and see if there's a good argument for changing tuition rates or not. I think the other thing relating to tuition that's important is that the regents are very interested in differential tuition, and we're going to do a report at the committee of the whole next week on differential tuition and what it would look like to not have differential tuition in the form we currently do. This is for undergraduates. And one of the arguments for trying not to have differential tuition is it's not paid by either the lottery scholarship or the opportunity scholarship. And so students have to pick up that differential tuition piece, even if they're on those scholarships. Not having it brings in other complexities. And so we're going to give the regents a report on what that looks like. And we'll see where that goes. And I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to take questions or sing Christmas carols or whatever's appropriate.
If anybody could use the hand reaction, that makes it easy for me to see who's in line. Any questions for Provost Holloway? Amaris.
Yeah, just a quick question, just to clarify, when you say that the regents are really interested in differential tuition, do you mean that they're interested in stating differential tuition across the colleges, or interested in keeping differential tuition out of the equation?
They're interested in not having differential tuition. I thought I was going to get asked to sing Jingle Bells or something. Let me to say something about differential tuition. So again, the reason not to have it in New Mexico is because Lottery and Opportunity won't pay it. The reason to have it is that programs that cost more, differential tuition basically is one of the mechanisms by which those more expensive programs generate the revenue they need to deliver the program. And so if the enrollment in nursing, for example, goes up, there's an automatic flow of tuition that's associated with that. If the enrollment in engineering goes up, there's an automatic flow of tuition that's associated with that, which is higher than you would see if just say the enrollment in architecture went up. So there really is there's pros and cons to having or not having differential tuition. And so that's the discussion the regents want to have at the next committee of the whole.
Roberta.
Other questions? Yeah, Roberta.
So two things. First of all, thank you for now making the Christmas carols start running through my head before they start running through my head because I hear them all the time. But the differential tuition. So a lot of times when they say these things, they only mean main campus. Are they talking about just main campus, or are they talking about health sciences too for differentials? Who come?
Well, they're really talking about all undergraduates, and so it's not one campus versus the other. They're really thinking about undergraduates because those are the folks whose differential tuition is not being paid by the Opportunity Scholarship. But again, what we're really doing at this point is looking at the implications of what differential tuition does and what it would look like if we didn't have differential tuition. And so really at this point, it's a conversation about understanding differential tuition, how it flows and what it does. But again, the kind of the driver is if we didn't have it, then Opportunity and Lottery would cover full tuition for all of those undergraduates. And it turns out there aren't a lot of differential tuitions left in the state. New Mexico State has 2 differential tuitions. That's it. One in nursing, one in engineering. And the other schools seem not to have any anymore. So again, at this point, it's a conversation about what does it look like and what does it mean. Other questions? I'd offer Thanksgiving carols, but I don't know any.
Thank you, Provost Holloway, for being here,
Absolutely.
and have a good holiday break.
Okay, thanks so much. Appreciate you all.
Okay, next on our agenda is my report. First, I want to let you all know that our faculty union began negotiations today with UNM administration to negotiate our second contract. I know that doesn't cover all faculty in this meeting. I'm thinking of my HSC colleagues. However, as has happened in the past, I think when we improve workloads through the union, it usually has a positive effect on that faculty handbook, which does govern all faculty. So looking forward to those successful negotiations. If anybody has questions about that, let me know. I can offer more information. I will also let you know, so I attended the President Stokes executive cabinet meeting yesterday, so I can share a little bit of what happened there since she's not here. There's discussion of expanding the cell phone policy that UNM has under the guise of one university. I'm looking at my phone in order to look at notes. So uh, the cell phone reimbursement process, they're working on improving that. I'll just give you some background. For several years, UNM has reimbursed eligible employees up to $40 a month for using their personal cell phone for university business purposes. So, for example, in fiscal year 23 to 24, 1,100 employees received a monthly cell phone reimbursement for a total of $593,000 per year. In addition, the university is responsible to make sure this reimbursement process complies with IRS regulations and Fair Labor Standard Act. So I'll just tell you, there were three options that were presented in terms of, for eligible faculty. So the recommendation is that departments will be given three options. Options 1 and 3 will be a non-taxable payroll allowance reimbursement included in faculty paycheck. Option 2 is to issue the employee a UNM cell phone, and they estimate many departments will choose option 3, which is to be reimbursed via one's paycheck. And just maybe if some of you are, I had no idea UNM had cell phone policy, reimbursement policy, and I don't have an office phone. So all of my university business takes place over my phone. So it's helpful to know A, that there's that policy, and B, they're expanding it. So as I know more, I'm going to share it with you all. And of course, those moving out of the humanities building, which is a number of departments, I'm not sure what access to phones will look like for them. Also, there will be a new cybersecurity training for everyone. The CIO of, I'm trying to remember what IT stands for. This required training, in my opinion, has a terrible name called Securing the Human. And I'll just give you some bits of information about it. So higher ed institutions and hospitals have been in the top 3 targets for ransomware events. So of course, since UNM supports both the university and the hospital, we're particularly at risk. The cybersecurity training will be required annually. It is now available in Learning Central, and they worked to keep it under 10 minutes. We will have until January 31st to complete the training for this year. And I think President Stokes extended that. New employees, however, will have 30 days from their hire date to complete that training. And the training includes things like information about phishing emails, risk for you or us and UNM, password management, how ransomware works, etc. Let's see what else. In terms of government relations, I was just going to include some more information that was shared at the executive cabinet meeting, I think is interesting or good to know. Number 1, there are 29 new legislators in Santa Fe, which means there will be new leadership. Those new leaders are chosen through caucus. They will identify committee chairs and make assignments in January. That session again, this coming year, it'll be a 60-day session as opposed to a 30-day session. It will begin on January 21st. It ends on March 22nd. And once the session ends, there's the 20-day signing period, which will end on April 11th. So April 11th, we'll know what our budget is. And January 29th is Union Day up in Santa Fe. So I see, Michelle, you have a question. Does faculty senate vote on to have a say about the budget discussed earlier at all? Or is this just a venue for getting updates on how it is proceeding? When is the university budget officially set? Oh, Michelle, that is such a good question. So right now, Provost Holloway
You want,
just
you
looks
want me
like
back?
answered. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to step off when I saw the question.
Sure.
So the university budget is set by vote of the Board of Regents, and they will do that in a meeting in April or May, just depending on the when their schedule falls. It's a little weird because the budget has to be submitted to the state on May 1. And so we have on occasion actually approved the budget after submitting it to the state. One of the key pieces in setting the budget is what we call the BLT process, the budget leadership team process. And the reason that piece is important, the budget leadership team provides input on a piece of the budget that we call the core fund. For many of you, it's the piece you think of as ING funds, the piece that supports many, not all of schools and colleges. But the reason it's important is in budgeting the core fund, that's where we also make recommendations, for example, around tuition. That's where we make recommendations around benefits and the cost of benefits. That's where we make, well, not recommendations, but that's where we build in the costs of things like utilities, turning on the lights, insurance, property insurance, that kind of thing. So the budget leadership team budget setting affects a whole set of other things that affect budgets across the institution, like benefits costs, for example. And Chris and Roberta are both members of the budget leadership team. So the faculty senate president is a member, and Roberta is there representing the faculty senate budget committee. Staff council president is a member. Presidents of GPSA and ASUNM are members. There's a representative from the faculty staff benefits committee. Then we have a group of at-large, there's a group of deans on it, but then also what we call the at-large faculty. For example, Bob Behrens is on it. So that's one of the key places where there's input into the process. And again, Chris and Roberta are the two folks in this room who are also in that room. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Provost Holloway. Yeah, so if you have questions, feel free to send them our way and we'll try to get them answered for you. That's all I have for my report. Is there anything you want to add? Actually, I wanted to add, it's my understanding that resident faculty were not previously included in the cell phone policy, and so they're also a group who will now be included within that, covered by that policy. Okay, let's see. I'm going to move to council reports, and we'll begin with Roberta. Roberta, do you have any reports you want to share from the HSC Council?
Sure. There two big things that we're looking at in the HSC Council. One is we reinitiated the HSC Policy Subcommittee. It had kind of fallen by the wayside during COVID. And so it is now back up and running with a new set of members. So that's good news because policy from the HSC wasn't going through any of the faculty at the HSC before going to the our policy committee here. And then the last thing that we've really been taking a look at is the substance use policy. So there's a drug testing policy in most of the departments in HSC because it's a requirement for students that are going to be in hospitals and clinics, that there be a drug testing policy and that there is some drug testing. The thing is, the different colleges all seem to have different policies and different levels of penalties when you fail your drug test. And it came to an issue because, as you know, cannabis is legal here. So a lot of students are caught by surprise when they realize that cannabis is part of the drug test. And by the way, it stays in your system a long, long time. So it's not like don't go out drinking with your buddies the night before you have to get your drug test before you go to clinical. At any rate, we are trying to look at the policies across the different colleges so that we can come up with one policy that basically is the same for everybody. There shouldn't be differential penalties for students based on what their major is, was our belief. So we were trying to look at all of those. So we've been gathering all the policies and working on them. So that's my report.
Thank you, Roberta. Any questions for Roberta? I do want to just mention there are there's maybe actually Dr. Eve Espy, who will be speaking in just a bit. I believe there's at least 2, if not 3 HSC faculty on the Faculty Senate, the larger Faculty Senate Policy Committee. So some of these policies have been seen by HSC faculty. However, by establishing the HSC Policy Committee, there will be more HSC eyes on these policies and with expertise in those more additional expertise on those HSC policies. So our next council to report will be John Burke reporting for the BCCC, which covers the branch campuses.
Hey, welcome everybody. Have a safe Turkey Day on wherever your turkey will be or wherever your travels may be. The BCCC continues to monitor workload guidelines at all branch campuses to make sure that they're being followed and adhered to. And we continue to support faculty at their different institutions, recognizing branch campus faculty on a tenure track may not have mentors in their particular area. So it's try to be a cross-campus work group so that they can have faculty from other branch campuses help faculty progress towards mid-probationary review and a tenure process. So thank you.
Thank you, John. I'll just mention, since John mentioned workload guidelines, I know for a fact that it was introduced today at the bargaining table, that remote work is being included in the workload proposal from the union. Currently, there is a remote work policy for staff, but not for faculty. The provost office has posted remote work guidelines that chairs have been implementing in all different ways. However, it is a significant addition to the workload policy because there are faculty who need to be protected. Their remote work needs to be protected, and that generally includes people with ADA accommodations. So we want to make sure that faculty are protected in that way. It doesn't just apply to faculty with ADA accommodations, but a good percentage of faculty request remote work for that reason. So by including remote work in the collective bargaining agreement, it allows faculty to have a voice regarding that policy, because when a policy is simply posted as a guideline or through as an academic policy, it doesn't have any faculty oversight or input. So this will be an important addition. Any questions for John on the branch campuses? I know we probably have a range of people with dietary preferences, but if you do eat turkey, John is your go-to for, is it brining a turkey, John?
Yes, I brine it and smoke it.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. This is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes 2024 degree candidates, curricular changes that were sent out, and committee appointments? Liz, are you making a motion? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
It's in the
So
chat.
moved.
I move.
Oh, thank you. Thanks all. And do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Natalie. Any questions about the consent agenda? Okay. Teresa, do we have a poll for that consent agenda? Thank you so much. You all should see that on your screen. Okay. Majority, so 97% say yes, and we have one abstention. Thank you so much. Next on our agenda, Dr. Eve Espy, Chair of the Faculty Senate Policy Committee, is here to present the two policies that were sent out to senators. Dr. Espy, I'm handing it over to you, and I'm going to go off camera for a second just to fill up my water bottle, but I'm listening.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Greetings from the Faculty Senate Policy Committee and happy Thanksgiving. Love a brined smoked turkey. All right. So we've got a couple of policies, both of which have gone through the comment period, and comments, if any, have been considered and incorporated. And we are now requesting Faculty Senate approval for these two policies. The first is A53, which is the development and approval of faculty policies, which really makes you know that you're on the policy committee when you're approving a policy on policies. This is some good changes, though. It's a reorganization of the policy without much change in content. It's moving the most important information to the top of the policy. It's made some other changes like removing so it's creating the ability to, for both the policy committee and the Senate to approve changes that are legal or regulatory requirements in nature without sending these out for comment. It's also removing the word dean, since deans are not typically involved in changes due to regulatory or legal requirements. So there was one comment that expressed some concerns that for adequate review of these kinds of policies where regulatory and legal changes had required the changes. And the response was that we felt that since the Faculty Senate Policy Committee and the Senate would still need to review them, either of those bodies, of which could send those out for comment if either of those bodies wanted to, that was an adequate level of review and would allow more expeditious change to the policy in the setting of legal and regulatory requirements. So that's the first one, and happy to take any questions about that. Hearing none, I'll move on to the second policy, which is E120, which is effort reporting. This was mostly changed to conform to the new faculty handbook format. It also updates the reference to federal requirements and removes a reference to a federal document that has been withdrawn. We did not receive any comments on this policy. And again, as I mentioned, both of these policies were approved through the policy committee. So we're presenting these for Senate approval. And Nancy, let me just invite you to add any comments that you might have.
I just want to make a minor correction on the regulatory changes. It's the Ops Committee and Policy Committee that looks at those. Yeah, but that's just a minor correction. And we would definitely recommend sending it out for comment if they are to faculty senators if we needed more comment on that. So.
Thank you.
And Chris, I think we have these set up separately to vote on. So I whenever you're ready for that. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Espy. Okay, so voting on the first policy that Dr. Espy has presented, can I have a motion to approve that policy A53?
So
I need a motion first
I'll move.
and a second.
You have a second from me, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Okay. Go ahead and respond to the poll.
Sorry, I was a little trigger happy there.
That's okay. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to go on break.
Thank you.
Okay. It looks like we have 35 in favor, 1 no, and 2 abstentions. Thank you so much. And moving to the second policy, do I have a motion to vote on the second policy presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Justin.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Justin. We're ready for the second poll, Teresa. Thanks so much. Policy. Okay, so it looks like we have 33 in favor, 0 no, and 2 abstentions. Thank you so much. And I want to echo Liz's words in the chat. Thank you to Dr. Espy and the policy committee. They do a lion's share of the work of Faculty Senate. So thank you so much. Also, I want to point everyone to Liz Hutchison's comment in the chat regarding she has provided the list for the provost guideline for faculty remote work and the staff policy on remote work. In case anyone is interested in reading those. Okay. Let's see. Teresa, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Next on our item is the Social Justice Committee, and it is the brainchild of our colleague Justin Bendel, professor at Valencia campus, and also serving as the chair of the Social Justice Committee. I asked Justin to speak to you all, one, to give you an update on the committee, and two, give you an idea of the kind of work that you all can consider doing in your various subcommittees. Justin, please go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody, senators, colleagues. As Chris noted, my name is Justin Bendel. I'm an associate professor of English, chair of humanities, and also chair of this brand new ad hoc Faculty Senate Social Justice Committee. I wanted to take just a couple minutes to introduce the committee as an entity and to share with you our very tentative in development plans. Let me start by reading our charge. This was the first step. This is a tentative charge subject to evolution as we come to understand more about the group. Here it is. The Ad Hoc Faculty Senate Social Justice Committee, formed by a core group of concerned faculty senators, will convene regular meetings composed of interested faculty senators who will elect leadership, draft a committee charge, and set a preliminary agenda for the group. Once standing committee status is confirmed, the committee will lead initiatives and provide guidance for the Faculty Senate on matters of social justice that impact faculty at UNM. Emphasis will be on identifying and addressing policies, procedures, and practices that may contribute to discrimination, inequity, and injustice. The FSSJC, that's a mouthful, will also coordinate, communicate, and collaborate with other campus entities working towards social justice goals. So right now, very broadly, we're looking to and thinking and discussing how this might actually look on the ground, the material reality of the kind of work we seek to do. And we're in a state of becoming. Right now, we're trying to figure out how best to serve the Faculty Senate. There are several of us, Liz, Melissa, Nahir, Stephen, Kadruta, myself, and ultimately, hopefully some of you as well, in addition. We have no desire to step on toes of currently extant social justice organizations, but rather to work collaboratively, to be an auxiliary to their work, to inform faculty senators of critical social justice concerns that arise from within and externally, and as the charge notes, to lead initiatives and provide guidance as need be. Another minute here. My big ask is that if any of you are interested in joining us, if any of you are interested in knowing more, please reach out to me. I'll share my information in the chat, and we can bring you into the group. Right now, we're meeting monthly on Zoom. We're having, these kind of intense dialogues that happen when you start something new, trying to figure out what the hell are we doing and how do we do it well. So that's been fun and challenging. And we're going to continue to map out over the course of the next few months exactly how we can make this group most successful on our road to becoming a standing committee. So if you have any questions for me now or later, please share them. And if not, just wanted to thank you for your time. And please plug in if you're even vaguely interested in this work. We could use your help. Questions?
Thanks so much, Justin. I really appreciate the work that you and your committee are doing. And if people didn't see it, there's a draft of the committee's charge in the chat. Thank you, Teresa. And Justin, I'm impressed that you were able to post in the chat at the same time while while speaking. Thanks so much, Justin.
Thank you.
Dr. Espy, sorry. Dr. Espy, I just want to let you know, or there's a question in the chat for you from Michelle Sturgis. If you could take a look at that, if you don't mind. Okay, let's see. So at this point, I would like to modify the agenda. I would like to move the vote on honorary degrees for the breakout groups, because I think the faculty in the breakout groups might be working on different timelines for different amounts during today's meeting. May I have a motion to revise the agenda so that we may first vote on the honorary degree candidates before we move to the breakout groups?
I
see
move.
Sever. Thank you,
I
Sever.
move. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
second.
Thank you. Thank you, sirs. Okay, so let me do it this way. Since I didn't warn Teresa, we don't have a poll for it.
That's okay. I can make one really quick if you want to wait.
Well, let me just see by a show of hands, how many of you approve to this agenda change? If you could just show me in your little square, or electronic, you know. Okay. Looks pretty close. We might need a poll. I'm guessing you're working on that for me, Teresa. Thank you.
Chris, I saw about at one point there was 16 or 17, so I think you're doing pretty good.
Okay. Okay. All right. Oh,
Oh, here we go.
Thank
There's
you.
the poll.
Okay,
Sorry.
here's the poll. So, please vote on whether you approve modifying the agenda. Okay. Thank you. Looks like we're good with 100% saying yes. Thank you. And Nancy, did you want to present information on the honorary degree, or we have to vote to move
We have to
into
go into
closed
closed session first and then put anybody who's not a senator into the waiting room. So, and I
Okay.
believe Dr. Borrego is here to do the presentation.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
Justin, did you have a question?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Just a high five. Okay, so Nancy, remind me, do we need to vote to go into closed session, or we just move into closed session?
I think you need to vote to go into closed session and then
Okay.
then
I move we go into closed session. Sever.
Thank you, Sever. Thank you, Sever. Do we have a second? Can you guys
I
tell I'm
second.
tired?
I second.
Roberta, thank you. Roberta, thank you. Okay, so if we may ask breakout groups, and I know we're on the verge of holiday break, and we will not have another faculty senate meeting this semester. Our next one will be in January. But I did want to give you all a chance to meet with your subcommittee in order to, if in case you want to, if there's anyone you need to add to your membership, and if you want to try to set a time to meet in January, or take care of any additional business you might have in terms of outlining your next steps, that kind of thing. What I do need is all of your help. I don't have the list of the breakout rooms that I made last time, but I want to read you what I do have. And if I have missed any of them, please let me know so I can add that room. I have the Social Justice Committee, Parking and Transportation, Faculty Senate Orientation, Compensation/Benefits, Campus Safety. I think we might have combined those into Parking and Transportation. Let me know if that's true. Is that true, Sever?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Take care of that. So it'll be Parking, Transportation, and Campus Safety. Increase cohesion across campuses, basic needs, faculty basic needs, and student success. Are there any that I missed? Really? I got them all? Okay, I'm gonna open the rooms, and as you all know, you're free to enter whichever room. I'd like to give you 20 minutes, and then I'll check back in with you at that time and ask any of you who was interested to report back. If you feel like you can get the work done within 20 minutes that your committee needs to do, feel free to start your break early, hopefully. Nancy, am I going to need a quorum in order to adjourn our meeting?
No.
Okay. All right,
Actually, you
good.
can just adjourn it, and if no one objects, then you're fine.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I don't want to stay here till January. We don't have quorum. Okay, so I'm gonna open up the rooms. And please choose your appropriate room.
So we are just checking back in to see if we're supposed to hang out till everybody returns, or are we dismissed?
So I do not see our fearless leader back yet. So she went into a breakout room, I believe, with someone.
Looks like she's in faculty senate orientation. You want me to jump in there and
Yeah, maybe jump in there
Okay.
and ask her if everybody can leave when they're
Okay.
going, because some people have come back and already gone. And
Okay.
there's no reason for people to hang out just to hang out.
Okay, give me just a second.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, cool. Hi, Teresa.
Hey, Chris,
Should I
I'm so
close
sorry to
rooms?
interrupt.
No, it's okay.
Some were wondering if they were done, could they leave, or do they need to stick around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
perfect.
just I'll close the rooms.
Okay. Thank you.
That'll give
don't know.
everybody a minute. Yeah.
So Chris is coming back in, but if you're done, you can go. You're dismissed. So.
All right. Bye,
Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Have a good
Have a
holiday.
nice holiday. All right, guys, I'm going to drop off too since we're done and go start cooking. Prepper. Bye.
Have a
all.
great holiday, Roberta.
You too. Let's see. Leave. Oh. So Chris, people were they're starting to drop off. So we told them they could go ahead and go. So you're on mute.
Yes, of course.
And
just
sorry,
was
Roberta.
I was just gonna ask people if they wanted to see, there are still people in the breakout room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, they're coming back.
Here they come.
Hi all, thanks for sticking around. I was gonna ask if any of the groups wanted to report out on what they discussed, or what ideas they have moving forward. Anything you want to share? Akshu? Dr. Baldwin? Oh, sorry, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Yes. Hi. Akshay is fine. This is one of the HSC faculty. So we met for the benefits and compensation part of the committee. We were 7 members and a little bit biased towards HSC faculty represented in there. But we talked a lot about things, compensation, and we heard about UA, UNM, and how that impacts non-HSC faculty. And we wanted to see, I wanted your opinion, and I'm going to send you an email to see how we can kind of, if there is a role for us to support or not, and you can tell me about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And secondly, we identified that, the issue of benefits, which we thought was, more at the HSC faculty, we were in COVID and nothing. But I think nobody is clear. There's no, the benefits are not clearly stated throughout the campus, even with the non-HSC faculty. And it's not that we are asking for, we give us everything you got, which would be good. But, we just want clarity.
Yes.
Like what we own, because as an institution, that's part of our whole compensation package benefits, right? We don't know what happens to our sick leaves. Why is there differences between HSC faculty interpretation, policy interpretation, and main campus, right? We understand the pay gap is there, but just the policy clarity. And we felt like there's not enough support from the HR and other people where we can take these questions and get some answers. Do we need champions in our faculty itself who become and kind of be the point of information for the rest of the faculty?
Yeah, that's really smart. Yeah, because part of that we could invite somebody from HR to come and present, but as you know, we don't have a whole lot of time for them to do an in-depth presentation. However, if they could come and at least provide us with some guidelines or a list of resources all in one place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be really helpful. In addition to, it sounds like what you all discussed.
Yeah. They can make modules. Means I've identified things that are wrong on UNM website on the website in terms of retirement. And then I emailed New Mexico Education Retirement Board because they said oh, there's unlimited compensation, there's no caps. And then I said like, no, there's IRS 415D that limits it. And then they acknowledge, yes, we are wrong. We have 415D applies to an MERB.
Oh,
So the references that were referred to are wrong. So when that stuff happens, you're like, who do I trust?
yeah, exactly. Who do you go to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you all talked about how to move forward and address those things?
We were going to ask you.
Okay. Just don't make me do all the work.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm happy. Really happy to meet with you all and discuss it. Yeah, discuss what we can do moving forward. Just reach out to me. Will you,
Sure.
Akshu? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share what they discussed? Natalie?
Yeah, so Jack Thomas and I were promoting cohesion between campuses, and we talked about a really cool new data resource that UNM has access to, that the initial meeting about this cool new it's restricted federal data that you can get access to by doing some trainings and signing up for this. And anyway, it's appealing to population health researchers and health sciences. It's appealing to, sociologists, medical researchers, whoever. And so that's kind of a fun thing. I guess part of the theme that we were talking about is just coming up with kind of useful things, not just meeting to talk about how we need to be more cohesive, but actually doing things together as main campus and health sciences.
Yeah.
And so things like workshops on how to write an NIH grant, or like actual things where you would get to meet people from both sides of campus, but you would be doing something that is like in service of your academic career. And so anyway, this new restricted data resource sounds really cool, and I can think of tons of people on both sides of campus who could benefit from it. We talked a little bit about the fact that, as we noticed in ops, that the main campus RAC covers certain faculty, the HSC RAC covers certain faculty, but certain faculty are kind of left out of the RAC process.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that's something we want to follow up on. So anyway, those were the things we discussed.
That's great. Roberta, you wanted to comment on that?
Well, we had a presentation from Dr. Racy about the RAC, and we asked her about the RACs, and she gave us the long explanation of how that happened. And then basically said they do realize that it was done and that they are working to fix part of it. Not the fact that the med school is only for the med school, but they're trying to fix the rest of it, that it eliminated all the rest of the HSC from being eligible. So supposedly there's something in the works to address that.
But it sounds like that would be a good person to reach out for the subcommittee to reach out to, right? To make sure that
yes,
that happens.
Yeah, because they were aware of it, but it was something to do with, it was a long explanation about money and how it was split out, and that some departments said nobody was applying for it and they did away, and then other people said no, it went away before that. So there was a little bit of disagreement about how it happened, but they did say they are working to address it.
Okay. Nancy, you wanted to comment on that?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that I tried to do a little research in this office, and since the university secretary's office has been handling those RAC awards, it's been split out like that. So it's been a long history, Roberta, just to say on your end. But whatever we need to do to help address that, we'll work on that too. But But yeah, it seems like there are some, you know, three colleges that are left out, definitely. So schools or colleges. So we want to make sure we can address that if we need to.
That's great. Thank you. And I don't know, this isn't exactly what you're talking about, Natalie, but I wanted to let everybody know that who doesn't know, we are planning on having the face-to-face faculty senate meeting in the spring on the HSC campus. So I think that'll be nice to have main campus folk over there. So yeah. Anybody else? Okay, if you need anything, if I can be of help somehow to you or your subcommittee, please let me know. And I wish you all a peaceful, relaxing holiday. Try not to check your email. And I think this is it for fall. I'll likely, next time I see most of you will be in the spring. Isn't that right, Nancy?
Well, except for me, because
well, I'll see Nancy. She can't get rid of me. But I appreciate all of you and the work that you do on the Faculty Senate in service of our faculty colleagues. So thanks so much.
Maybe we'll see some of you at commencement at one of the 2 commencement ceremonies.
Oh yes. I love reading the names.
I have one thing to say about reading the names.
Okay.
So I told my husband that was part of the task of being faculty senate president, was reading the names, and that you'd be happy to read the names because you looked at and you know, I have an accent. He goes, well, this ought to be damn hilarious. He said, he just retired. And he said, you already broke the remote control. It doesn't understand English anymore.
Aw.
So I thought you'd be amused.
We celebrate all languages and dialects, which are really just languages, but yes.
We get some entertaining pronunciations on those cards too, huh, Chris?
Well, yeah, students don't know how to write their names phonetically, so sometimes they make it worse.
Or they try to put something funny on their cards and think better of it and then scratch it out. So
yeah, but thank you all. See you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.